Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the India Insurtech podcast. I'm Akshay. Today we are delighted to have with us Josh Everett, who's the CEO of Zinnia in India. Thank you, Josh, for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Akshay and India Insurtech. It's great to be here with you today.
Perfect. Before we dive into the topic for the day, Josh, it would be helpful if you could take a minute to help us understand a bit more about Zinnia. I understand that you work across the value chain of the insurance ecosystem, but would love to hear from you on how that stacks up for business for you.
Absolutely, Akshay. Thank you. Zinnia is a global organization that provides product and technology to the insurance industry. We're focused on removing the friction, whether it's with carriers, distributors, or consumers, and providing technology and capabilities that enable state-of-the-art modern digital rails of the insurance industry. Everything from a consumer educating themselves to applying through an e-application, through automated underwriting, through servicing, and much more. The capabilities that we provide are persona-based, where we enable carriers to stand up new product quickly, modify that product as they need, and launch that product in quick time. Really, focusing on that time to market. For distributors, it's about creating capabilities that allow them ease of doing business, knowing the product, knowing the individual they're selling to, and how do you create the data capabilities to ensure a well-rounded, well-informed agent to enable the consumer to make a great decision. And then for consumers, self-service capabilities and automated capabilities that make service a snap and deliver the right outcome in a quick fashion to build trust.
Perfect. That pretty much sums up the entire value chain from an insurance perspective. Since you're building this in India, Josh, it's interesting to talk to you about the India opportunity for insurance. First, I'll start with your experience, and you've seen this evolved in multiple global markets. And India has served as a good center for you to build products which have worked globally. Now, if you look at the business opportunity in India itself, what is your assessment of where the opportunity stands right now?
I think India's an incredible market. It's high growth. It's massive underserved in insurance. We have a world-class digital public infrastructure here in India. Obviously, we have a rapidly rising financial aware middle class, which is a game changer. And then, of course, the government body and the regulation that's actively helping to expand penetration while modernizing that digital ecosystem. So, really what it has is the best of both worlds. Many mature markets have scale but limited growth. Many emerging markets have growth but lack the digital infrastructure to make it happen. India's square in the middle of both of those and has a very unique opportunity here.
If we track back, this situation has existed for a while, and we have been at a similar point where there is under-penetration, so therefore a huge headroom for growth, and also there is infrastructure and therefore the opportunity to grow. But we've stayed at that sort of point for a while now. What do you think are some of those foundational blocks that are missing or that need to change for it to establish like a model for the next decade or so, if you look ahead?
I think as you look at the next decade or so, I really think the focus needs to be balanced between growth and strategy. When you think about insurance companies, you need to be able to capture that growth, but really what's going to separate the winners from the followers is a focus on platform that can scale as times change. We're moving from this linear headcount-driven model here in India to really platforms that scale and really create that differentiator. When you think about what separates, the ones that are going to be great from maybe the followers, things that come to mind include, adaptable core systems, those that are open and API enabled that allow them to embed within and outside of other ecosystems. I think data architecture is going to be huge, not just for reporting, but for intelligence. When you think about the India landscape, there's a lot of multiple different languages, multiple different cultures. You're going to need to be able to blend in the architecture and the intelligence around this to be able to make sure that you're hitting the market appropriately. Of course, AI is going to be a big piece of this. How do you integrate AI into workflows to increase straight-through processing, to reduce servicing issues and cost, and overall improve underwriting quality that we talk about so often here? And then, of course, right along with that is disciplined governance so that innovation and the compliance conversation scale together over a course of time.
You mentioned multiple aspects here. One was a lot about scale and platformization and how you can embed yourself. But one thing you touched upon is interesting, which is multiple languages and so on and so forth. So now we often refer to India as one unit, but if we look at the nuances, India is essentially multiple languages, multiple segments of business, vast income disparity, and therefore different sort of product infrastructure that is required. So in a sense, it might be multiple different units. And if I have to break it as an analogy, one can call it multiple small countries which operate in a very different fashion, right? How do you think this scalability and all of these aspects, which are, segregate different segments separately, does this really serve as an advantage for an tech-enabled organization? Does it rather become an inhibitor to scale because you have to design accordingly and so on and so forth?
I think it's an innovation engine, right? And so when you think about India and scaling insurance, it's going to be high volume, low premium, and that demands operational efficiency. So you can't hide cost inside margin. You can't rely on manual workarounds. You can't just scale through headcount alone. So you got to think about how do you drive innovation through the market here, and it is automation. It's straight through processing. It's configurable product engines so that way insurers can produce the next best product and get that out in the market quickly. It's about clean, centralized data architecture so you understand the risk and know where the risk is and price the risk appropriately. Look, the diversity in languages, the diversity in customer segments, in distribution models, in risk profiles, because that's really what that all talks about, creates an incredibly rich data environment. If you use data to become your strategic advantage, that is part of where I see the model going, not only today, but yesteryear and for the time to come. You got to build systems that are ready for scale, ready for multi-language, multiple segment, high volume, low premium, and they're resilient enough that you can span all of pan-India. Really, I think about India less as just scaling insurance. It's technically stress testing the future architecture of insurance. And that's really exciting.
Fair. And on this topic, there's been an ongoing sort of discussion, debate, if I may put it that way, on modernization of the whole infrastructure versus legacy that has been continuing for a while. And you mentioned modernization is the way to go, and you need a lot more capabilities which may not exist. Two parts to the question. I'll start with the first one, which is how urgent do you think is this in your opinion? Because this has been an ongoing discussion for a while and different players and different spectrum of where they lie, but less movement, if I may put it that way. So what is your take on that? And I'll follow it up with a...
Yeah, as I think about modernization in India, it's not optional. It's a strategic decision to capture the market, to enable growth, and to enable scale. Look, like I think as you think about the life insurance industry, annuities and pensions, it's all about volume. It's about customer expectations. It's about an integrated ecosystem to meet people where they're at. And it's really about regulatory sophistication, which we're seeing really bloom here in India. If the core systems are rigid, they are creating complexities, and that complexity eventually creates fragility in the organization. It's not about just replacing systems. It's more about building modular, API first, configurable platforms that can scale without operational risk. That's the differentiator here. So I think, modernization, it's not optional. It is absolutely a strategic play. And those that are going to win are going to modernize and modernize quickly.
Perfect. Just following it up with something specific to your business model or organizations like yourselves, right? Uh, India has generally not been great for, let's say, software, whether as a service or as a product, for those kind of business models, because it remains to be very thin margin, and we're generally reluctant to shell out or invest in building technology and with partners outside. How do you see that shift over the next few years, if you believe that this is the way to go and we need to do it? So build versus buy approach and some of those aspects coming in, how do you see that shift in Indian context?
Yeah, and I think, organizations are going to have their own purview about what makes sense for them. It really comes down to where are you at in this point in time, and strategically, where do you want to go over the next 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5 years. But I think as there's 110 active insurtechs right now in India, at least based on the latest information that I read. And it's really about how do they become part of the answer, not just another way to fragment the system. But I think you're going to see vendors become more of partners. How do we help remove the friction? How do we help you scale in a modular, API first, configurable platform that will help adjust and be able to be continuously adjusted to meet not only the needs of today, but the needs of tomorrow? And it's about clean data and accurate data, fact-based data to make good decisions. It's about being AI ready, right? It's about those configurable product engines. It's about open integration models. We're starting to see that really happen. And once you open up that with the right governance and the right structure, people are going to be able to make their own decisions and win in different ways.
And I'm going back to something we had touched upon in the beginning, right? You mentioned that India is generally underpenetrated on the insurance side. And there are also many policy initiatives, regulatory initiatives, and in general, the ecosystem trying to drive inclusion in India on the insurance side. And there will be multiple aspects that will need work, whether it is product configurations, digitizations, claims, and so on and so forth. But if I were to ask you, what is that one aspect which excites you the most?
As I look across what's going on in India, we have some of the brightest, best technologists. Everybody has a smartphone in their hand. I think what really the exciting part is, along with the regulation that's being put into place, is how much push there is to provide protection to the population of India. That's what's really exciting. There's so much opportunity there to provide the protection for the young family or the young child or aging elders. It's such a great opportunity to make the world a better place by using this technology. That's what excites me the most.
Perfect. And lastly, before we wind up, if everything goes right and what we spoke about and all the building blocks fall in place, what do you think success looks like?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think if India gets this right, and it's going to fundamentally change how insurance is processed, how it's managed, and how it's delivered globally. It's not going to just close the protection gap that we talked about today. It's going to define how that works at a global level. I think it looks like families receiving claims in minutes to hours, not days. I think it looks at policies that are persistent because people see the value and they're affordable and they fit their life stage. I think an important piece of this is customers who trust the system. We all know trust is deep here. Insurance is a piece of paper and a promise, and trust goes hand in hand with that. What it looks like, insurance is accessible, it's affordable, and it's trusted. I think it's digitally integrated to meet you where you're at. I think the experience builds on that trust and builds confidence. There's strong data foundations, so that way you know who people are, what they need, why they need it, and to ensure fair decisioning on any underwriting or suitability that needs to happen to ensure this customer is right for this product. Really, India has the opportunity to become the global blueprint for inclusive, digitally integrated insurance, and that's phenomenal.
Perfect. On that note, is there a message that you'd want to give the insurance ecosystem in India?
Yeah, for insurers, I think the future is about building architecture that compounds your advantage, not complexity. For Insurtech founders, it's about solving real frictions, not just building the next feature or the next capability. For regulators, it's about enabling innovation while safeguarding that trust. And I think for ecosystem builders, it's about collaboration of the greater good over fragmentation of different offerings. I think the opportunity in front of India is not transactional, it's generational. And if we build inclusive, intelligent offerings in insurance, it's not going to just expand. India is going to redefine insurance.
Thank you, Josh, for sharing all of these perspectives. It was a great time speaking to you.
Thank you, Akshay. Appreciate you having me on today. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.